The king cobra reads the world through breath and vibration, measuring intention before a single muscle moves. The fer-de-lance, silent and coiled, hides a strike so fast it looks like the jungle blinking. One dominates by strategy, the other by explosive precision. But in a duel, where every millisecond decides the outcome, who truly delivers the deadlier hit, and why isn't the answer as obvious as it seems? The king cobra is not just the longest venomous snake on the planet, it is a biological strategist built for reading intention. Its body stretches beyond 5 meters, but its power comes not from size, rather from a nervous system tuned to the slightest movement in its environment. Its binocular vision gives it a depth perception that most snakes never evolve, and even its limited thermal sense is enough to detect the rhythm of another creature's breathing. In the dense forests of Southeast Asia, that combination turns the king cobra into a silent analyst of danger, hunger, and opportunity. The fer-de-lance, however, plays by a different code. Hidden under leaf litter and shadows, this Bothrops species relies on a sensory algorithm entirely distinct from the cobra's. Its heat-sensing pits act like biological cameras tuned to warmth, mapping shapes and angles with astonishing speed. It doesn't need to see the world clearly. The world announces itself to the fer-de-lance through vibration, temperature, and the subtle pressure of footsteps. What makes this contrast fascinating is that while the king cobra dominates by observing, the fer-de-lance survives by reacting. The cobra lifts its head high to measure distance like a hunter scanning the horizon. The fer-de-lance stays low, calculating angles from the ground like an ambush engineer. And then comes the deceptive twist, the snake that looks slower, calmer, almost passive. The fer-de-lance is the one carrying a venom devastating enough to dismantle tissue within minutes. This simple inversion, appearance versus power, already sets the stage for a duel governed not by aggression, but by biology. Their territories also shape the confrontation. The king cobra moves through open forest trails, bamboo thickets, and roots, searching primarily for other snakes. Its entire evolutionary path is centered on serpent-shaped prey. The fer-de-lance lives in Central and South America, a world of silent humidity where small mammals and birds trigger its defensive strike within milliseconds. It has perfected the art of stillness because stillness is survival. When we compare their detection systems, the differences grow even more significant. The king cobra relies on a blend of vision, smell, and ground vibrations, using its tongue like a chemical radar that paints the environment in invisible layers. The fer-de-lance uses hypersensitive vibration receptors that detect movement long before the intruder realizes it is being watched. One evaluates, the other calculates. One seeks to control the encounter, the other waits to explode. And yet, none of this explains which one strikes with deadlier precision, because the real answer hides inside the architecture of their skulls, where evolution engineered to entirely different approaches to power. Venom is not just chemistry for these two snakes, it is strategy, identity, and algorithm. The king cobra carries a neurotoxin designed to shut down the electrical system of its prey. It doesn't rip flesh or destroy muscle. Instead, it silences signals. One drop begins a cascade that interrupts breathing, freezes reflexes, and collapses the body from the inside out. This is the language of a predator that hunts other snakes, fast, precise, and efficient. A serpent that needs to immobilize another serpent before the tables turn. The fer-de-lance speaks a different biological dialect. Its venom is hemotoxic, designed to dismantle. It destroys tissue, ruptures blood vessels, and triggers a biochemical storm that spreads like wildfire through the body. Pain, swelling, necrosis. This is a venom meant to stop mammals that twitch, kick, and run. Against warm-blooded creatures, its strike is a biological sledgehammer, but against another snake, that power shifts into a different kind of advantage, not instant shutdown, but catastrophic damage. Their reflexes reveal even more about their survival algorithms. The king cobra attacks in a progressive motion, like a controlled wave of muscle and intention. It can strike forward, maintain its balance, and reposition instantly, all while keeping its focus on the other snake's head, the target it must neutralize first. Its body is long enough to anchor itself while executing a precise forward projection. The fer-de-lance, however, fires like a compressed spring. Its strike is not a movement, it is a release. In less than a quarter of a second, it launches forward and retracts, a biological trigger designed for hit-and withdraw tactics. This is why the fer-de-lance S-strike has been measured among the fastest in the New World Vipers. Its entire anatomy is optimized for explosive defense. And here comes the micro-reward, hidden in their biomechanics. The Cobra's strike is guided, almost directional. The fer-de-lance's strike is instantaneous, almost uncontrolled by comparison, yet incredibly accurate within its limited arc. Imagine two different philosophies of power. One calculates the path, the other unleashes it. Reaction time and reach further shift the balance. The king cobra has a longer striking distance to its elevated posture and elongated neck muscles. It can hit from farther away because it sees more of the battlefield. The fer-de-lance trades reach for raw velocity. It doesn't need distance, it needs surprise. Its body stays coiled because the coil is its weapon. Folded muscle becomes a living catapult. A human comparison reveals the magnitude. If a fer-de-lance were scaled to human size, its strike would be faster than the blink of an eye multiplied several times. Lightning compressed into muscle. Yet that same explosive nature can be both an advantage and a limitation. Against a mammal, it is perfect. Against a snake, especially a long, calculating hunter like the king cobra, it becomes a move that must be perfectly timed, or it loses its edge instantly. And this opens a new loop. In a confrontation between serpents, the question isn't only who hits fastest, it's who hits with the right type of venom, at the right moment, in the right anatomical spot. Because in nature, precision is not velocity, precision is survival. When these two serpents meet in theory, the confrontation is not chaos, it is calculation. The king cobra does not rush. It rises. Height is its first weapon. By lifting a third of its body off the ground, it gains a panoramic map of the opponent's position, posture, and breathing rhythm. To a cobra, motion is information. Every small vibration passing through the forest floor becomes a message about distance, stress, and intention. The fer-de-lance interprets the world differently. It stays close to the earth because the earth is its warning system. The slightest pressure change in the soil signals approach. The faint heat signature of a large snake registers through its facial pits like a slow-burning ember. While the cobra gains advantage through observation, the fer-de-lance gains it through anticipation. And here lies their biological tension. One wants control, the other demands reaction. In a real encounter, each one would read the other through its evolutionary rules. To the king cobra, the fer-de-lance appears smaller but unpredictable. Cobras instinctively aim for the head. When attacking other snakes, they must disable the strike zone before approaching. Their strategy is built around preventing the enemy from launching its weapon. The fer-de-lance, on the other hand, sees a large, moving heat mass and interprets it not as prey but as threat. Its mental algorithm triggers defensive readiness, preparing the coil, tightening the muscles, aligning the head for a strike that must land precisely because it only gets one perfect chance. And here comes the mini reward. The cobra is a strategist. The fer-de-lance is a biological reflex. One plans, the other detonates. Precision, however, is not simply about who moves first. It's about who reads the moment better. The king cobra circles, adjusting angles, narrowing the gap, always trying to position itself so that the fer-de-lance's strike becomes predictable. It wants to intercept the movement before it fully launches. Cobras often tap the ground with their bodies, using vibration feedback like a sonar. Each shift is a test, a measurement, a question asked through muscle. The fer-de-lance's accuracy depends on stillness. It must feel the exact instant when the cobra commits to a direction. Its sensors detect the slight displacement of air, the tension in the soil, the heat signature intensifying. When it fires with the force of a coiled spring releasing all at once. The Cobra, however, has the advantage of reach and vertical posture. A longer, directional strike means it can aim at the head while staying just outside the fer-de-lance as tight striking arc. This is where skeletal architecture decides the battle more than venom or size. Because in the end, this is not about who wins, it's about who is designed for what. A fer-de-lance is built to defend itself against mammals that come from above and move erratically. A king cobra is built to dominate other snakes that fight on its level. They are not rivals by nature, but their systems can still be compared. The cobra's precision comes from intention. The fer-de-lance's precision comes from instinct. If the cobra controls the head, it controls the fight. If the fer-de-lance lands a perfect strike on soft tissue, it delivers catastrophic damage, and yet, hidden behind these behaviors is an evolutionary secret that changes everything. Their bodies carry advantages invisible to the eye, buried within their muscles, blood, and biology, shaping the outcome long before the strike ever happens. That secret is what we reveal next. Inside the body, the real confrontation begins long before the strike ever lands. Neurotoxin and hemotoxin are not simply different venoms, they are different philosophies of destruction. The king cobra's venom travels like an electric thief, slipping between nerve endings, shutting down the body's communication system one signal at a time. It blocks the channels that tell muscles to breathe, move, or respond. In another snake, this means paralysis that can develop faster than visible symptoms. The fer-de-lance's venom, however, is not silent. It tears through tissue, rupturing cells and blood vessels, flooding the body with enzymes that dismantle muscle and skin from the inside. Where the cobra silences, the fer-de-lance unravels. One stops life, the other deconstructs it. Inside a reptile's body, these venoms behave differently than they do in mammals. Snakes metabolize toxins at a slower rate, and their lower body temperature changes the speed at which chemical reactions unfold. Neurotoxins may take longer to reach full effect, but once they do, they deactivate critical systems with brutal efficiency. Hemotoxins spread through the bloodstream, following pathways of oxygen and pressure, turning internal tissue into a battlefield of collapsing cells. This hidden war reveals why precision is more complex than striking first. It depends on where the venom enters, how deep the fangs penetrate, and which biological system collapses first. Digestion paints another layer of invisible science into the confrontation. If a king cobra successfully subdues a venomous snake, its body is prepared for the chemical aftermath. The cobra's stomach is a biological furnace that breaks down proteins, venom molecules, and complex tissues using enzymes so aggressive that even hardened scales soften within hours. Its metabolism is specialized for large, serpentine prey, allowing it to extract energy with remarkable efficiency. This is why a king cobra can eat a single substantial snake and not feed again for days or even weeks. The fer-de-lance's digestive system, by contrast, is optimized for mammals that provide high bursts of caloric energy. Its enzymes are designed to dissolve warm-blooded flesh quickly, converting it into fuel for survival. Against another snake, its digestion works just differently. It processes tougher, colder protein structures with more effort and more time. And here comes the micro-reward. Despite their terrifying venoms, both snakes are vulnerable to each other's chemistry. A cobra struck deep by a fer-de-lance may suffer catastrophic tissue collapse. A fer-de-lance envenomed by a cobra may lose motor control before it can retreat, but nature hides an evolutionary curiosity that shifts this confrontation in a completely unexpected direction, a detail buried in millions of years of adaptation, preparing the stage for the ultimate comparison. Evolution does not sculpt creatures for fairness, it sculpts them for survival. And when you place the king cobra and the fer-de-lance under the same evolutionary lens, what emerges is not a contest, but a revelation. Both are masterpieces tuned to entirely different worlds. The king cobra, for example, produces one of the largest venom yields among all venomous snakes. A single bite holds enough neurotoxin to affect an elephant. But this is not excess, it is strategy. A snake that specializes in hunting other venomous snakes must end the confrontation before the prey has time to respond, to slow, and the hunter becomes the hunted. This is why the king cobra evolved oversized venom glands. They are biological insurance against the unpredictability of serpent-on-serpent combat. More venom equals more certainty. The fer-de-lance evolved under a completely different pressure. Its world is filled with mammals small, fast, unpredictable. Animals that kick, bite, thrash, and flee. In this environment, hesitation is death. So evolution forged the fer-de-lance into a biological trigger. Its strike is not merely fast. It is an explosion of compressed power. One of the fastest recorded among New World vipers. Muscles coil tightly like a spring pulled to its absolute limit, and when released, the movement is so rapid that the eye barely captures the blur. This is not aggression. This is survival refined into a reflex. One of the most fascinating curiosities is how these evolutionary differences affect humans. The fer-de-lance is responsible for a significant percentage of snakebite incidents in Central and South America, but not because it seeks conflict. Its camouflage is nearly perfect, allowing it to blend into leaf litter so well that people often step close without noticing. Its defensive strike, triggered by instinct and vibration, becomes a human emergency. Evolution rewarded stillness, not visibility. Meanwhile, the king cobra, despite its intimidating size, is far less involved in human accidents. Its stature, upright posture, and territorial awareness make it more likely to warn than to strike. It prefers space, not confrontation, and yet, when forced to defend itself, its accuracy becomes surgical. This contrast reveals an evolutionary paradox. The snake that looks more intimidating is often safer to encounter, while the snake that seems smaller and calmer holds the more deceptive danger. Comparing their precision reveals another layer of complexity. The king cobra's precision is intentional. It watches, calculates, and chooses the exact path and angle of attack. Its brain is larger than most snake species, allowing for more refined sensory processing. The fer-de-lance's precision, however, is mechanical. It does not think, it fires. When the sensory conditions align, heat, pressure, vibration, its body executes a perfectly timed strike because that is the only outcome evolution allowed. This is why the question, who strikes with deadlier precision, is more biological than dramatic. Precision is not speed alone. Precision is the harmony of timing, anatomy, and purpose. When comparing lethality, the differences become even more striking. A king cobra's neurotoxin shuts down breathing and motor function. It ends life by silencing the electrical system that holds the body together. A fer-de-lance's hemotoxin tears the body apart, rupturing cells, melting tissue, overwhelming organs with shock. Against mammals, the fer-de-lance often causes more dramatic damage. Against snakes, the cobra's venom may be more efficient because it bypasses tissue destruction and directly attacks essential neural functions. Here comes one of evolution's most surprising twists. Lethality is not a universal measurement. A venom designed to stop a rodent in seconds may behave differently inside a reptile. A toxin that devastates mammals may act slower in another snake. What is deadly depends entirely on the biology of the target, and this leads to the final evolutionary curiosity. The deadliest species is rarely the strongest, the fastest, or the most feared. The deadliest is the one perfectly designed for its world. Even when comparing two of the most formidable snakes on Earth, the answer is never absolute. Nature does not crown winners. Nature perfects systems. In the end, a duel between a king cobra and a fer-de-lance is not a battle of monsters. It is a meeting of two evolutionary philosophies that never needed to cross paths. One was shaped by forests, where other snakes were the primary competition, forcing it to evolve strategy, height, and a venom that targets the nervous system with surgical precision. The other was shaped by the unpredictable violence of mammals, driving it toward explosive speed, perfect camouflage, and a venom that tears the body apart to stop movement instantly. When we close the loops opened at the beginning, the picture becomes clear. The king cobra strikes with deliberate intent, reading angles and using reach to dominate the encounter. Its precision is the product of choice and control. The fer-de-lance strikes with absolute reactivity, using coiled muscle and sensory reflexes to deliver a blow, though sudden, that hesitation becomes impossible. Its precision is the product of instinct and design. Neither is more dangerous in a universal sense, because danger is relative to the world each species evolved to survive. The cobra's neurotoxin can silence the body like a switch being turned off. The fer-de-lance's hemotoxin can collapse tissue like a storm hitting from inside. Against mammals, the fer-de-lance often appears deadlier. Against other snakes, the king cobra's venom acts with brutal efficiency. Evolution didn't build a champion, it built specialists. And that is why the answer to who strikes with deadlier precision refuses to be simple. Precision is not measured in venom yield, strike speed, or even lethality. Precision is measured in purpose. It is the perfect alignment of biology, environment, and design. What looks like violence is actually choreography. What looks like chaos is actually the outcome of millions of years of invisible calculations. The king cobra moves with intention because its world demands control. The fer-de-lance fires with instinct because its world demands immediacy. To snakes, to algorithms, two ways of surviving a universe that never stops testing every living system. And that is where the reflection lives. In nature, there is no most dangerous. There is only adaptation, perfectly tuned to the challenges each species was born into. If you want to understand more confrontations where evolution hides the real answer behind behavior, venom, and instinct, stay close because the next episode unlocks another code the jungle has kept secret for far too long.